Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are live for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control on the channel this evening, and it is another Busch Series Custom Schedule Season double header. Races 5 and 6 out of 33 on the season, still very early in the year as we head to the Darlington Raceway under the lights for Race 1, and then in the same stream, Race 2 will be at Michigan in the daylight hours. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we're about to get into tonight's set of races. Currently, Kyle Busch comes in with a 30-point lead in the point standings over teammate Brian Vickers. Each of the top 4 in points are the 4 different winners in the first 4 races of the year, each with 1 win apiece. Kyle Busch obviously has a win. Brian Vickers has a win. Shane Meal has a win. And Tony Stewart just got his first win of the year in the last race of the last lap pass at Watkins Glen. Led just 1 lap in that race. One thing that is in common with each of the 4 drivers who have won a race this year, they've all been leading a lot of laps throughout the first 4 races, pretty much combined. Who will take home the win in both of tonight's races? Will we finally see a repeat winner, or will we start the year going 6 for 6? We're about to find out. 200 miles, 147 laps on the Diamond Plywood Hill 200 at Darlington. The green flag is in the air. Race 1 is underway at the Lady in Black. Kyle Busch easily has the lead through turns 1 and 2 off the start. He was fastest in practice, qualified on the pole by just 5 1/1000ths of a second over Ryan Newman. It took both laps to get the pole time. He was a little bit quicker in practice, wasn't as great the 2 laps he had in qualifying. He will lead the opening lap of the night, though, and that will receive himself 5 bonus points. Has to lead just 8 laps today to eclipse 200 laps led through the first 5 races of the season. Might be able to do that here in the next couple minutes. Tony Stewart qualified 2nd, Carl Edwards in 3rd. Newman, who started 2nd, fell back to 4th. 28.415 at the line. Busch got a little loose off turn 4. It's a very worn out Darlington surface, very similar to what you would see now. This is the last year, I believe. Actually, maybe not the last year, but I think it's the 2nd to last year before the repave, which I believe took place in 2007. Dark Crypto, Mark DeMars, Alan Barkley. Oop, bounced into the wall again. Busch going to try to make Carl Edwards pass him on the outside. Busch led that lap at the line. Edwards trying to get it done up high. Into the wall goes Kyle Busch. Vickers involved as he gets sandwiched by a couple cars as well and cautions out for the first time. Overdrove the corner with Edwards already on his outside. Stewart gets by to the lead on the bottom. And about a 4 or 5 car crash in the opening laps at Darlington. Well, that is not a great start by any means. I think Busch still has the lead. We've got a lot of cars with damage, though. And hopefully that's not going to cost Kyle Busch too much. Tony Stewart was able to miss all of it, but I guess Busch was in the lead when the caution came out. It was so close that Stewart was actually in 2nd, even though Edwards and Busch were basically side by side when the caution happened. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some debris cautions here. Billy Kramer also welcome into the stream. Michael Turner, I saw you in the chat earlier as well. And there might not be any downforce left on the 5, which is going to be troublesome. Busch is still led every lap. He'll lead this lap at the line by inches. Carl Edwards in the 60 down on the bottom, side by side into turns 1 and 2 for the lead. Oh, man, these guys running each other tight. Busch with the crossover off turn 2. Great restart by Edwards to get by the 33 of Tony Stewart. The next lap gets by Kyle Busch. Busch looking low. Can't get around Edwards. And it will be Carl Edwards leading his first lap of the day after Busch led his first 8, giving him 200 laps led on the season. Oh, contact again. Man, these guys going a little too hard, too early. Busch gets into Edwards again. No accident that time. These guys are using their stuff up early, going at it. Both in the top 10 in the point standings. Of course, Busch the points leader. Edwards in the back half of the top 10. Leaves 7th in points. Might be in the top 5. I'll have to look when it scrolls back again. He's either 5th or 6th. I was thinking he was 7th, but that is not correct. Aaron Crocker's 7th in points. Newman lost another spot on the restart to Brian Vickers as well. He's back to 5th already. It's a tough track to pass, especially with contacts being made like we've seen a few times already in the early going of the race. Ah, man. Oh, man. Busch is struggling off the exit of the corners especially. Shuts the door on Edwards, though, in turns 3 and 4 on the outside lane, and Tony Stewart's trying to get underneath him. Busch keeps mowing the wall down off the exit of the corners. He is struggling with this race car. It was a little floaty in practice. I dropped the air pressure for qualifying, which, in return, slowed it down a bit, but it's still fast enough for the pole, but obviously struggling in the early going of the race, trying to get settled in still. I think it's only a 200-mile race rather than a 500-mile cup race at Darlington. Busch has still led the most early on, but he is not pulling it away like I would have originally thought coming into the race. Kind of a 5-car breakaway at the front of the field, but they're not really changing positions a whole lot because of how hard and narrow this racetrack is to just drive on its own, let alone trying to race other drivers. It's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be a 1 or a 2-stop race today. Busch in the wall again. He was just sliding up and up and up. Edwards back to the lead. And Busch back to 4th, losing 3 positions in 1 lap. Thought Busch was going to have the best car, and maybe in the race not so much. Edwards definitely looks a lot stronger than what he did in practice. Busch trying to get one of those spots back on Ryan Newman. Makes a clean pass through turns 1 and 2. Down on the bottom of the racetrack. Turn Texas into an LA Coliseum. Problem is you wouldn't have the track size to actually put the full field on the track for 1 points race. So that's where that probably wouldn't work. Anything but a super speedway, really, I'm down for. Make it a normal 1.5 miles if you want. Anything but a super speedway. Only because Atlanta beat him to it. Busch up the track again. It doesn't feel like he's really overdriving the car too much. I think now that he's in traffic, the car's just getting a little too tight. Shut the door on his teammate Brian Vickers, though, to try to hold on to 4th. Busch is beating this race car up quite a bit, though. Side drafting Newman as he pulls back alongside of him. Oh, and the leader's blowing an engine! Carl Edwards has blown up from the lead. He's going to miss the pit lane. He's going to lead another lap at the line this time, but Tony Stewart is going to lead the following lap. Shades of NASCAR in 2022. The leader has just blown a motor. Edwards is still trying to power through it. all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack right now, and now he'll stay low and out of the way. If that isn't what's happened in NASCAR in the last month, I don't know what is. Busch in the wall again. Lost time to Stewart that last lap. That's one less car that Busch has to race, and Edwards looked to be pretty strong in the early going. And now Stewart leads for the first time. Got Kyle Busch's engine at Darlington. Yeah, good thing we didn't get Kyle Busch's engine at Darlington. We are Kyle Busch after all. That's going to hurt him in the points. Good corner through 1 and 2 for Busch as he runs down Stewart. Is he actually going to be able to get the car to stick in the corner, though, as he gets closer behind him? Trying to run a little bit lower, meets him in the middle of the corner. That was another good corner for Kyle Busch. He's all over the back bumper, the 33 of Stewart. Trying to get underneath him. Fastest lap of the race weekend for Busch. Just ran a 28.169, about a tenth quicker than what he was at his fastest in practice. Can't get around him. No Torres, Derek Booth, also thanks for tuning in. Oh, he got him loose. Tony Stewart slides sideways. I think he kept it off the wall. That's going to open the door up for Kyle Busch to take the lead in turns 1 and 2. Textbook forced him into a mistake. Tony Stewart was dirt tracking it off turn 4. Stewart not going to be able to cross him over in turns 3 and 4 this time, and Busch is going to get back to the lead. Another lead change in the early going of the race. Now tries to hold on. These guys are racing today, I'll tell you that much. Cars are moving around a ton. It was doing that in practice too, even on fresher tires. That's how much of a lack of grip this track has. Very old abrasive surface on tires as well. Busch gonna gap Stewart through turns 1 and 2, looking to take control. And maybe Kyle Busch has the best long run car and maybe not a good short run car. Should only be about a 1 or 2 stop race today, with it only being 147 laps on a roughly 1 1/3 mile oval. Second race at Michigan today will be 125 laps, and that will be a 250 miler, 50 miles longer than this race. It's probably going to be an easy 2-stop race. Take our first field pass of the day when we get to the start-finish line next time by, with Brian Vickers in the 57, who is still in 4th place. Both Vickers and Busch have had strong starts to the season thus far. Busch going up the hill just a bit. Tony Stewart not going to be able to make the pass, but he does close the gap. Busch with a little block on the front stretch, and we'll go back to Vickers, who's trying to get around Ryan Newman still for 3rd. Slid the tires a little bit on corner entry. Vickers down low underneath Newman, side by side for 3rd off turn 2. We'll bump to the left rear corner panel of the 39 car for Brian Vickers in the 57. Does he have the straightaway speed, or will Newman get the run off the top? Still door to door. And this time, Vickers will complete the pass for 3rd. Vickers slowly moving through the field. Obviously didn't qualify as well as his teammate who qualified on the pole. Newman fell back on the start, but at least he's consistently staying in the top 5 still. Kyle Busch still holding on to the lead in front of Tony Stewart. We'll go back to the 5 of Kyle Busch now. Atlanta 4th of July weekend would be like watching old Daytona. In the sense that there will be a super speedway, yeah. But I don't think it'll ever quite be the same like it was with Daytona. Tradition-wise. Busch had to lift to keep it off the wall that time. Well, it didn't matter. He still got in the wall, even with lifting. Lane closed up quick when Tony Stewart got to the inside of him. Really good corner, though, for Kyle Busch. Oh, Stewart into the wall. Busch into the wall too, but not as hard as Stewart. Kyle Busch to the lead. Everybody is struggling for grip today. First time Busch got loose in front of, or Stewart got loose in front of Kyle Busch. He lost the lead, but he held on to his race car. That time he lost the lead and got up into the outside wall, earning his Darlington stripe tonight. And now Newman trying to go for his first lead of the race on the bottom of the racetrack. Busch might have grazed the wall just a bit. First lap led for Ryan Newman in the 39. Nobody can hold on to the lead. Seems like Kyle Busch is struggling more with turns 3 and 4 than what he was turns 1 and 2. Well, halfway on fuel during the run right now as well. One caution so far in today's race. We went caution-free at Bristol a couple races ago. And the 3rd race of the season. Kyle Busch closes on the 39 car. He's going to take the dive into turns 3 and 4, trying to get it to stick this time. And he does. Hasn't cleared Newman yet at the line. Newman will lead the lap still, door to door into 1 and 2 for the lead. Nobody give it an inch. Busch way down, bottom of the track, a little slide. He didn't really slide up in front of Newman. He kind of held his corner all the way down. And it just clears Newman off the exit rather than in the center of the corner. So he'll hang on to it on the bottom of the racetrack. And Busch flirting with the wall off turn 4. Might have to loosen it up just a hair. Probably take about a half a round to wedge out of the car whenever the teams go to make their first stop of the race. Three and 4 is definitely the more treacherous of the two corners for Kyle Busch. Really tight middle off. He's still tight on exit to turn 2 most of the time as well, but not like he is in 3 and 4, which is the sharper angle corner of the two. You're entering in a lot faster, and you have to brake a lot more, not just because you're entering faster, but just because it is a tighter turn versus a little bit more wider sweeping turn in turn 2. Caution's out for the second time today, while Busch is in the lead at lap 40. And we have trouble as the one, I don't know who that is, but somebody had gone for a spin. One of the fantasy drivers, it looked like there was a couple cars that got into the wreck as well, kind of checking up further back. The 108 car, I believe it was, slammed into the back of another generated fantasy driver. So we're going to be seeing pit stops likely. Yep, field is coming in for the first time today. Going to take a half round to wedge out of the race car for Kyle Busch here during this first stop. 4 tires and fuel will be the call. Yeah, Busch flirting with the wall off 4, yes. I did say that intentionally. Oh, slow out of the box for Busch. Pit crew did a good job. Brian Vickers wins the race out of pit road, and Kyle Busch loses 4 stops. That might have been more driver error there than team error. And Brian Vickers going to lead for the first time today. Now our 5th different leader. Green flag back in the air at Darlington. Well, Busch has the adjustments made. Oh, sorry, he actually came out 6th. He lost 5 spots on pit road. That's a tough break there for Kyle Busch. We'll see if he can gain that time back. Picker's been on it so far this season for the most part. He did get 1 spot back initially in turns 1 and 2 with a good restart. Shane Meal gets by Tony Stewart. Now he's trying to get by Ryan Newman in the 39 car. Here comes Busch to the inside. 3 wide off the exit of the corner. I don't know if this is going to work at Darlington as they head for turns 1 and 2. But we'll see. Busch down low on the bottom. Stewart in the middle. Newman up high. 3 wide. Will they make it off the exit of the corner? I think they did. Without any contact, Newman got cleared by Stewart. They weren't 3 wide off the exit like they were on entrance. And Kyle Busch to 3rd. Couple of great moves there. Nice to have fresh tires back on the car to be able to do something like that, because that would not have been a possibility to try to pull off before. As you're going first wide, I didn't even see that comment till just now. Shane Meal going for it. Busch's car did get really tight in the dirty air that time, even towards the outside. 101 laps to go at Darlington. Brian Vickers trying to hold on to the lead. Shane Meal behind him. Busch looking low underneath the 32 for 2nd place. It quickly carries the speed underneath his teammate, the 57 of Brian Vickers. He's got a bit loose. Busch still going to dive it in deep in 3 and 4. Not clear yet. Still side by side. Busch will lead that lap at the line, and now he's clearing 1 and 2. So Kyle Busch back in the lead again after losing 5 spots on pit road during the caution. Shane Meal going for 2nd on Brian Vickers as well. Corey Freet, thanks for tuning in also. Texas combined with Richmond. I don't even know what you mean by that. We'll go back to Brian Vickers in the 57 for 2 more laps. Our 2nd and final field pass of the race. We'll see if he can get back to 2nd by Shane Meal. It gets a little loose. He drove it in a bit too deep. Little power slide. Didn't really lose much momentum, but didn't have anything for Meal that corner, and he's not going to in 3 and 4 either, it looks. Vickers down low, side drafts Meal off the exit of turn 4, lap 50 at the line. Vickers go in for 2nd into turns 1 and 2. Another deep dive down on the bottom of the track, slides right in the middle of the corner. He keeps it off the 32 of Meal, and they're still door-to-door off turn 2. Vickers pushing extremely hard, driving the heck out of it, trying to get back to 2nd. And he is going to clear Shane Meal through turns 3 and 4. And we'll go back to Kyle Busch in the 5 car now, who still leads after that battle for 2nd is intensified behind him. Thoughts on yesterday's race? Oh, it was a crapshoot. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I did a live race commentary, so you guys pretty much, for anybody that was there, knows what I thought of the race as it was going on. The overall racing in the daylight was good. Once it got to the nighttime, it was much harder to pass because the track had more grip. And there were tire failures throughout the course of the day, but they were even more so a factor later in the race because the track temps were cooler and they were going a lot faster mid-corner than what they were earlier in the day when they were having to manage the throttle. And I think that's why you saw a bunch of the leaders have problems in the later going rather than in the early going. It was kind of more drivers running mid-pack when they were having tire issues or maybe back half of the top 10. It wasn't anybody that was competing for the win at the time. I mean, obviously, you know, Texas is Texas. It's not a good racetrack. I will say, when it comes to people not liking the race yesterday, I completely 100% agree, and I obviously didn't prefer that. You don't want to see drivers, blowing tires aero roulette wise. But the one thing that I don't understand when it comes to like the NASCAR fan base, and even not just the NASCAR fan base, but even the media landscape when it comes to NASCAR as well, why it was okay for something like that to happen at Bristol, or at least not okay, but it happened at Bristol, almost the same thing. And then, it's like, oh, it was an alright race, I just wish there weren't many tire failures. And then the same thing happens at Texas, and it's like, oh, it's a terrible race. Because I didn't really care for the Bristol Cup race the weekend before with basically the same things happening. I think the only reason that they were happening more at Texas, or at least over the course of the race, is because it was a longer race than what Bristol was. 500 laps at Bristol isn't as long as 500 miles at Texas. And I think that's why you saw 16 cautions at Texas versus, like 12 at Bristol or 13 at Bristol. A few cautions less, but pretty much all the yellows at Bristol were for the same thing. The only caution that wasn't the case at Bristol for a tire issue was that big wreck they had on the restart when Daniel Suarez made contact with... can't remember who he made contact with. Was it Stenhouse? But any other incident there was... Any other incident there was tire related. Because Texas sucks, that's why. Yeah, but that shouldn't justify that it was alright at Bristol. And I think this is part of the problem too, because this stuff has been happening all year. There's been so many races this season where tires have been, punctured. And a lot of the time it is drivers that are up at the front competing for the win. And it stinks to see them taken out of it. I mean, look, it's happened to Tyler Reddick a couple times already this year. But I do think back Fontana, there were tire issues. Trying to think off the top of my head what other races there were tire issues. Obviously, Kansas, there was a few of them. Texas, Bristol. Trying to think of the summer races that might have had some tire problems as well. Gateway was another one. There were some tire issues there. What was it? Chase Briscoe blew a tire while leading early in that race. There were a couple more throughout the course of the day. No, I mean, see that. I get the safety aspect of it, that it is more dangerous at Texas to have something like that happen versus at Bristol. It could still be dangerous at Bristol. I just don't know why Bristol got the pass and Texas did. I understand why. I do understand why. It's because Texas isn't a good track and Bristol is, but that shouldn't justify why it's okay. I think, people... I mean, the drivers have definitely done so. They've voiced their opinions over the last handful of months about every really major issue with the next-gen car. I don't think it's been happening necessarily more in the playoffs. I think it's just the tracks that we've been going to that have that same kind of load on the right front tire. We've been having issues like this. There were a couple times that tires would end up puncturing at the super speedway races. I think Atlanta in the summer had some issues with it. If I'm not mistaken, in the Daytona 500 at the very start of the year, I thought there was a couple cautions for drivers blowing tires. It didn't cause any big wrecks because they were kind of drivers running middle, back of the pack. Really, the only tracks we haven't seen these issues are road courses, but I think a lot of it is because this car's built more for road courses at the same time, too. Road courses and flat short tracks. So, Martinsville, Richmond, Phoenix, we haven't seen tire blowouts there, or this kind of issue, because the car is purpose-built for those tracks. It's not really purpose-built for mile-and-a-halves, super speedways, and that's where we're seeing a lot of these issues. So something definitely has to be worked on throughout the course of the offseason in that department to try to even it out, and it might adjust, the racing product overall, but I'd prefer that. I mean, there's not as much strategy in races on the mile and a halves because cautions come out very frequently. There is strategy, don't get me wrong, with that, but there'd be more strategy if it led to longer green flag runs and not as many cautions throughout the course of the race. And let green flag pit stops come into play, because there's been very few races this year we've actually had green flag pit stops other than at road courses right before the end of a stage. Could have had another Kurt Busch. Yeah, luckily Cody Ware seems to be okay, and hopefully that is still the case. Yeah, I did see that, one of the fastest laps of the race the last couple times by. And Busch has definitely picked the pace up. Shane Meal took the lead for a little bit after he got up into the wall. It's very easy to do here. I'm sure you guys are well aware. And again, Shane Meal looking low. Busch went a bit wide that time, grazes the wall. And Shane Meal back into the lead, leading that last lap at the line. Busch was starting to get away from him there for a couple laps until that hiccup. Oh, now Meal gets into the wall. He gets a Darlington stripe, so Busch is able to stay alongside him on the back straightaway. So Busch got in the wall last lap. Shane Meal into the wall this lap. And Busch back in the lead. Had 6 different leaders. Shane Meal, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Newman have all led laps. Edwards, remember, blew an engine while leading at about lap 20 earlier in the race. Could have been one of the contenders. Looked to have a fast car early on, maybe a little too fast as his engine expired. Well, yeah, exactly. You want to talk about the future of what you could possibly do to prevent it. For sure. I agree with you, Mark. Bringing up stuff that happened in the, way back when. I get that. But my point was that at the time we weren't saying that it was a major issue until we've gotten later in the season. When it's the same problems we had before, when we should have looked at it more objectively earlier in the season, what we did, other than kind of having a slap on the wrist. Well, it's a new car, we're going to go through some growing pains, and obviously nothing's really been fixed with the car to help those growing pains that we had at the very beginning of the season. We're not seeing as many loose tire penalties later in the year, but that's, I think, more so because the teams are getting more used to the single lug nut cars, what they have to do to make sure it's secure, that we haven't seen as many penalties as what we were seeing quite often earlier in the year. But that's not something that, NASCAR had to fix. That was something the teams basically had to fix and they've adjusted to. These, tires going out obviously haven't been adjusted much on the tracks with the high loads all season. Some tracks it happens more so than others, but we still have like 4 or 5 almost seemingly at a race on these high load tracks. I wouldn't be surprised if at Las Vegas in a couple weeks, we see more of the same. Maybe not as many as what happened at Texas because it's a 100-mile shorter of a race, kind of similar to Bristol. It's just a shorter race, so you might see quite a few. It might be 8 to 10 cautions for tire issues, but it's not going to be like 16 like it was yesterday. Tony Stewart got around Shane Meal a couple laps ago, trying to get by Kyle Busch in the 5. Not going to do so through turns 3 and 4 that time, and we are halfway home in our first race of the doubleheader today. We've had 2 cautions, both in the first 40 laps of the race. And Kyle Busch has led the most laps so far, but he has lost the lead from time to time. Doing a good job currently trying to hold off Tony Stewart and Shane Meal. Brian Vickers has lost touch just a little bit back and forth, but he's trying to play catch-up. And everybody pitted during the second caution of the day at lap 40. It is still a one-stopper yet to the end of this race. Don't want a short pit, risk going a lap down this late in the going. But whoever pits first is going to have an advantage on those much fresher tires, and that could definitely play into effect. We're likely going to see some drivers pit as soon as that window opens. It's going to be a matter of who is going to make their way onto pit road, though. Alternating through the different camera angles for the first time in race 1 of the doubleheader today. As Kyle Busch stays in front of the 33 of Tony Stewart currently. Each of the top 3 have a win this season. Actually, each of the top 4 have a win this year. They're 1 through 4 in points. I think it's pretty fair to say these are looking like the early season championship favorites. I don't know if Tony Stewart's going to run the full season. I'd have to imagine Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers will. We know Shane Meals a Busch regular, so he likely will. Well, halfway through the run, Stewart had a run off turn 4. Busch went low to try to block on the front straightaway. He was able to do so. Make sure he wasn't going to have to be on the outside through 1 and 2 because he hasn't been able to hold the outside very well in today's race. Xfinity Series lately has been putting on some Darlington Classics, and they were doing that in the mid-2000s as well. Think back to that 2003 finish between Todd Bodine and Jamie McMurray. This is the 2005 season. Will we see another wild Darlington finish? The way these guys have battled in the early going, I wouldn't doubt it as we get later into this race. Busch not making as many mistakes as he was earlier in the race as he's getting more repetition and more laps under his belt with this race car. Surprised I made as many mistakes at the start as what I did, though. Just getting into the wall. I think some of it was the setup, though. It just wasn't built for the medium, longer runs like it was in the short runs. So taking that half round of wedge out of the car has definitely helped Kyle Busch just a bit. Kind of consistently running 28.1s, 28.2s. He was kind of consistently that 28.3, 4, or 5 range. It will get a couple tenths back. Hot take, COT car is the best car NASCAR had, the racing, the safety. I didn't really care too much for the tandem racing. I'd rather prefer like pack racing. It was good for like a change of pace though. Like if we had like a tandem race if they like felt like trying to change the package like every couple of years, you know, have a tandem race thrown in there, I'd be opposed to it, but Yep, that's right. Busch Series race got rained out. They ran that race on a Monday. It was the day after the Craven Kurt Busch finish. Back to the far chase cam for now. Lap 82 of 147 at Darlington. We're just going to have one trivia question today, and it will be in race 2, so that's why there's no trivia question here in this first race. Busch in that middle to upper groove. Kind of diming the corner off that time. Giving up in the middle of the corner to try to drive it in deep and get the run off the exit. He's giving up a lot in the center. He's just got to make sure Stewart doesn't get underneath him whenever he does that. Rides all the way around the bottom that time through 1 and 2, and so did Stewart. Got some cars headed to pit road for the second time tonight. For green flag pit stops, it'll be their final stop of the day. They're all going to go a lap down. So their hope is that it definitely stays green at least till everybody cycles through pit stops. Shane Meals not quite able to keep up with Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart in the long run as well. Busch up the track, had to lift to keep it off the wall. Here comes Tony Stewart down to the bottom. Little contact off of turn 4 as Busch holds on to the lead. Squeezes Tony Stewart most of the way down the front stretch into 1 and 2. Guys are battling hard. Couple cars coming out of the pits yet down to the bottom of the racetrack as well. Busch determined to hang on to the race lead on Stewart. Stewart trying to go for back-to-back wins. He's already led more laps today than what he led in his win at Watkins Glen, which was just one. Ryan Vickers caught up with a little bit of lap traffic from those cars coming out of the pits that are on fresher tires than those that haven't pitted yet. Right rear tire in the yellow. The tire wear indicator for Busch, and he's up in the wall. Stewart to the lead. Another Darlington stripe for Kyle Busch. Should have had a strike counter for today. I don't know how many that's been, but it's been quite a few. 60 laps still to go this time by. Tony Stewart is now the race leader. Right front starting to go away on the 5 as well. 60 to go at Darlington. Busch with the deep dive into 1 and 2, trying to get it to stick. The right side's wearing out quite a bit, probably because of how many times he's mowed the wall down as well. I can't help. Less than what he did on the first run. They've gone longer into this run without a caution. It's actually the longest green flag run of the day so far, just over 40 laps. Busch back to the lead as he gets by Stewart cleanly through 3 and 4. And now Stewart's going to have to be the one to go back on the attack. Keep battling like this. Shane Meal, Brian Vickers are definitely going to close that gap again. Stewart on the outside through 1 and 2. Pushing his preferred line down low. Oh man, that was close to the wall. Try to get as much speed as he can on corner exit. Guys are hanging it out there. Close to a dirt track race as NASCAR has without actually throwing dirt on the track is right here at Darlington. Slipping and sliding quite a bit. Another Darlington stripe off turn 2. Busch trying to hold his ground on Stewart into 3 and 4. Stewart overdrives the corner, goes towards the outside in the center as he was caught in the dirty air behind Busch on the bottom lane, and Busch gaps him just a bit. The left rear is starting to give out on the 5. Fun little race going on so far. Couple Cup Series regulars duking it out at Darlington. Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch. He's going to have that cleaner pit stop though. That's going to be the big thing. Could be the determining factor in who wins this race. Track held the first pavement race in 1950. I actually had no clue that that was the case. I probably heard about it, but forgot about it. Here's the interesting fact of the day. We don't have a trivia question in this. Oh, wow. Busch got really loose off turn 4. He makes contact with Stewart on the front stretch. Oh, and Vickers into the back of him. That didn't help. That was a big moment by Kyle Busch. Car hasn't really snapped that loose before until just then. Quarter tank of gas left. Tony Stewart to the lead. Stewart's car kind of straightened Busch out. Otherwise, I think Busch was about to loop it around. We stay green. Busch has damage from earlier still, too, which doesn't help with the handling of the car, I'm sure. Safety's needed to be addressed for a long time. And drivers were talking about the hits well before the car debuted an actual race at Daytona this February. Or I guess the Clash, technically. I can remember Eric Almirola's interview at the Clash when he wrecked out in the last chance qualifying race. Talking about that he felt that hit was a lot harder than felt a lot harder than what it was probably going to be before he actually made contact with the wall. And that was literally an impact of just like, what, 80 miles an hour? Oh, Vickers is a rival now? Well, that stinks. Just kind of ran into the back of me after I got loose. That shouldn't be the case. That's alright. We're teammates. I trust that he's not going to take me out. We'll hope. Busch is having a hard time trying to run down Stewart and Meal again. Got loose at one time, majorly at least. Since then, he's been alright. They'll be coming to 50 laps to go this time by. The further they can go on fuel this run, that's the less amount of laps they're going to have to run on tires in the next run. Oh boy, it got loose again. Busch is in the wall, and I think he's going to consider pitting this time, because that has slowed him down a bunch. Kyle Busch is going to be the first into the pits, because one of these times he is going to loop it around, and he's not going to be able to save it. The wall saved him that time. The first time it was Tony Stewart that saved him. No adjustments. It went away on the long run, but as long as he can keep it off the wall during this next run, he's going to hope that it doesn't get that seriously loose. But he's going to be a few seconds off the lead by the time he actually came into the pits that time. Busch looking for a four-tire stop. He's got a short pit versus the rest of the leaders here. He still had over an eighth of a tank of fuel yet. But the car was wrecking sideways there for about those last half a dozen laps. Good job not wrecking the race car, though. All things considered, and out and away it goes. Pretty clean stop by the 5 crew. No complaints, I'm sure, from Busch. Back in 31st. Tony Stewart continues to lead. Busch getting up to speed. Big thing now is he really just needs it to stay green until everybody else pits. The problem is they're going to have fresher tires than Kyle Busch whenever they decide to pit, especially if they stay out quite a bit longer. So Busch is going to gain some of that ground he was losing towards the tail end of that run now. He's going to have a hard time trying to hold him back after pit stops. That's even if he cycles back into the lead. He's got clean air to work with right now. No traffic heavily behind him either. Alternate through the different camera angles once again for about the next 6 laps. 46 laps to go, and it sounds like some of the leaders are going to be pitting this time by. Tony Stewart will pit from the lead, and this will be Shane Beal's chance to lead laps again. I believe Kyle Busch has clinched the most laps led right before he had lost the lead. .45 to go this time by. Shane Meal stayed out again that last lap. We'll have to see where Tony Stewart's going to cycle in the 33 car. It's Clint Boyer, the 2 down on the bottom. That's a spot for Kyle Busch. I think Tony Stewart's going to be the leader when everything cycles through. At least he's up towards the front of the field right now. Brandon Miller going to pit. And Kyle Busch going to get another position out of it. Wait to see when the 112 car is going to pit right in front of him as well. Busch going to the outside in 3 and 4 just as a safety precaution in case that car in front of him was going to pit. Busch got tight because the 112 also went to the outside, and that took the air off the front of Kyle Busch's race car. Busch looking to dive underneath him now in turns 1 and 2. Vickers is going to pit at the front of the field. He's in second. Shane Meal still out on the racetrack. Busch able to clear the 112. He's in front of him heading into 3 and 4. Back to having clean air on the nose again. Cycled back up to about 13th. That was the 133. That wasn't Tony Stewart. Stewart already pitted. A few laps before that. I think Tony Stewart might be that last car up in front of Kyle Busch. He was stuck behind a lapper for a few laps, but has finally just pitted, allowing Stewart to get back by again. Will this race stay green to the finish? There's Brian Vickers in the 57. Busch will cycle in front of him. Busch pitted at lap 99, so Vickers going to have about 8 lap fresher tires than Kyle Busch. That'll make a difference a little bit. You consider the fact that, again, this track very abrasive on tires. 40 laps to go. Shane Meal's in the pits. Busch going to get back on the lead lap, so if a caution comes out, he will not be trapped a lap down. A lot of other cars on pit road right now, and I have to think that Kyle Busch is likely going to cycle into second place. Can he run down Stewart? Stewart's only got about 3 lap fresher tires, maybe 2 lap fresher tires between himself and Busch. It's not too much of a difference. So Kyle Busch should have a shot to still run him down. Now Shane Meal's got about 10 lap fresher tires than Busch, and about 7 to 8 lap fresher tires than Stewart. Stewart on the back straightaway, going to get to the lead on Shane Meal. Kyle Busch has cycled into third, which is where he was when he hit pit road, but he was able to gain some time. He was about 2 to 3 seconds back. Now he's 1.1 seconds back. So by pitting a little early, he did get a couple seconds back, but now can he run him down? Shane Meal's going to have probably the best shot, at least as far as grip goes, to win this race. Again, he's got 10 lap fresher tires in the 5, and the 5's still behind him yet. If we stay green to the end of the race, there will be lap traffic, which will also come into play. Busch trying to diamond the corner off through 3 and 4. He's doing some different things right now, trying to find a way to gain an advantage of slightly older tires on the 32. 32's got dirty air, though, in front of him with Tony Stewart. It's not going to be an easy pass for him. Good chance we're going to have a repeat winner. Top 4 are all the drivers who have won the first 4 races. Who will win their second? Man, Busch in the wall. Second time since leaving pit road. Costed him time off turn 4 and had a huge lack of speed on the front straightaway that time by. Maybe pushing just a bit too hard. Busch down under a half second off the lead. Have a 3-car battle for the win, potentially. Fastest lap of the race that last time for Busch, 28.147. That's why he closed that gap so much. Stewart got to catch his first lap car of the night. Shane Meal going to try to catch him. Meal not able to actually get around him, though. Meal slower than Busch on the back straightaway. Busch is going for second place, trying to use the lapper as a pick. He slides the car in the middle of the corner, goes up the track. That is a textbook slide job from Kyle Busch. Well, contact with the lapper off turn 4, but he's in second. Meehl's still stuck behind the lap car. I think Tony Stewart's bottoming out up there. He's probably got the air pressure set really low after that pit stop. Kyle Busch lost some time to Stewart, but he's up to P2. And the driver on the freshest tires of the three battling for the win right now is Shane Meehl, and he is in third. Stewart really close to the wall, is trying to get as much straightaway speed as possible. Still a lot of lap cars yet to deal with, 32 laps to go. Meehl's still struggling to get by that lap car. He's on the inside of him finally, but I don't think he's going to be able to clear him off turn 2 yet. And never mind, he did. He's over a second off the lead. He's going to need Busch and Stewart to battle hard. He's going to want a shot to get back to him. Big question is, can Kyle Busch's tires hold on to the finish? He's only got to go about 48 laps on them. Maybe 49 by the time he came out of the pits. Looking to the inside of Stewart, not going to waste any time. Side by side for the lead. Busch pushing hard. You can see him wiggling quite a bit. Stewart with a block, though, into turns 3 and 4. Busch back down to the bottom again. Kyle Busch back to the lead for the first time after green flag pit stops. 30 to go at Darlington. Ran a 28.194 that last lap. Now can Busch get through the lap cars a bit better than what Stewart might have? There were no adjustments made for Kyle Busch during that last stop. 28.108. Fastest lap of the day for Busch. Pushing extremely hard right now trying to win this race. Got a half a second lead. Cleared the lap car. Oh, lapper into the wall, into 3. I don't think that slowed Stewart up at all. He didn't really get close enough to him. Obviously, we stay green. Just another Darlington stripe for another driver in the field today. Busch maybe a little too hard off turn 2 that time. Lost a little bit of his lead over Stewart. God bless. Stewart's still struggling to get by that lap car right now. What a start to the season, though, for Kyle Busch, for him to be leading in points through 4 races. Hasn't had a finish worse than 7th. A first, second, 4th, and 7th place finish for Kyle Busch in the first 4 races of the year. Not in that order, but 3 top 5s. Trying to get by the 117. Stewart finally got by that lapper further behind. Busch could not clear the 117 car that time. He's out to a 1.1 second lead. Just has to keep his tires underneath him. That's the big thing. Keep that wheel as straight as possible. Looks like the lap traffic's going to be a lot more dense in the coming laps. Cody Stewart about a 10th quicker than Busch that last lap. Busch for the perfect corner, though, through turns 1 and 2. Couple lap cars side by side right in front of Busch. Busch a little wall scrape. Off turn 2 as he catches the dirty air. He's got about 8 cars right in front of him right now. And the 2 cars in front of him keep crossing each other over back and forth. 1.4 second lead at the line. Busch just ran his fastest lap, 28.065. Contact with the lap car. Got up into the wall. Luckily didn't turn him after the contact. Just 20 laps to go. Costed Kyle Busch 0.2 of a second of his lead. Wasn't the best way to get by that first lap car in the pack. It's about the time Kyle Busch's spotter needs to tell these guys to move. It's going to be tough, though. It's a very narrow racetrack, even if you're trying to get out of the way. Busch still going to have to complete the pass down to the bottom. Hopefully they give him room. All trying to stay on the lead lap, though, at the same time. More contact up off of turn 4. 28.034. Didn't hurt Busch's lap time too much. Probably could have been in the 27s if it wasn't for that contact. Still fighting lappers. Oh, contact between the 2 more lap cars side by side off turn 4 in front of him. Into turns 1 and 2. $17 laps to go. Kyle Busch getting through the lap traffic. Not at his best, but he's getting through it fairly well. About 2 more cars to go in this pack. Small gap, and then he's going to have 2 more. Push up the track just a bit. None of the lappers got underneath him, so that's good. 15 laps to go at Darlington. Race 1 of our doubleheader. You won't have to go anywhere. It's on the same stream. We'll be racing at Michigan next. Busch can't quite get underneath the lap car in front of him. Not that time. 1.7 seconds. Still ahead of Stewart. Make that a 1.5 seconds at the line. Busch lost a little bit that last corner. Stewart's still got about 4 more lap cars, though, between himself and Kyle Busch as well. Shane Beal still has a slightly bit fresher tires than both Stewart and Busch. Busch again tight, though, in that dirty air. He gets close enough behind the cars in front of him, and turns 3 and 4 is where he struggled all night. Didn't make any adjustments during that second pit stop. He did during the first stop. Took a half round of wedge out of it. Tried to help it a little bit, which it did. Longer runs, though, he's still struggling a bit. Up the track again. Slides the tires up into the wall. That was not a good corner for Kyle Busch. 12 to go at the line. One of the lap cars going to actually get around him to the outside. Maybe, not quite. It wasn't clear yet. He's going to have to pick this pace back up again as he gets by the lapper who nearly got back around him. The good news is he's got a little bit of space before he catches those 4 cars in front of him again. 11 laps to go. That right rear tire's starting to give way as well. Remember how loose Kyle Busch was at the end of that last run. Continuously mows the wall down. Corner after corner. I wouldn't say it's that drastic, but he's hit the wall about 3 times, 4 times almost since the pit stops about 40 to 50 laps ago. 10 laps to go for Kyle Busch. Just has to hold on to his race car. Not going to be easy. He pitted a little bit before Stewart and Meal. Back out to almost a 1-second lead again. It's when he catches these lap cars in front of him, though, that's just so challenging. He's tight in the center of the corner at the dirty air. But he has really loose middle exit still. 28.069 that last lap for Busch. Wiggling all the way through the center of the corner. Not quite close enough to get into the dirty air. He's opened that gap back up to about 1.3 seconds again. This is fast if you can hang on to it. Kyle Busch has held on to it for a little bit now. No major dirty air disadvantage that time, and he has got a fast lap going for him. Again, 28.085, a little slower than the lap before, but not by much. Busch looking low underneath the lap car through turns 1 and 2. And he'll complete the pass, but he gets into the wall and then gets hit from behind. And he gets hit from behind again and nearly turned. Down the backstretch as they head for turn 3. Tony Stewart is in the lead at Darlington. Oh, terrible luck for Kyle Busch. He got into the wall after getting around the lap car. And then the lap car got into the back of him not once but twice on the back straightaway. And Tony Stewart is in the lead, and Busch's tires are shot right now. And just 7 laps left for Busch to try to run Stewart down. It's quite a bit of damage, I'd have to imagine, to the race car after all that happened. And he is struggling right now, and Tony Stewart's driving away with 6 laps to go. He's got a 1-second lead. Busch trying to reel it in. 2 lap cars between the top 2 as well. Kyle Busch was struggling in lap traffic for quite some time. Will power slide getting into turns 3 and 4. On the inside of a lap car, he's got to get around fast. 5 laps to go. Well, he got around the lapper through turns 1 and 2. So hope and pray his race car is going to hang on here to the finish so he can have a shot to win still, and at the very least, at least end up with a 2nd place run. Tony Stewart trying to go back-to-back after passing Kyle Busch on the last lap at Watkins Glen. Busch trying not to let this one get away from him too. 4 laps to go in race 1 of our doubleheader at Darlington. Kyle Busch is pushing extremely hard right now. Still got 1 more lap car between him. This is the same lapper that got into the back of him in the 63. I think this is the same car that wrecked at lap 40. Busch on the inside. He's going to make the pass. 3 laps to go. He's closing back in on Stewart. Stewart's got better tires right now, obviously. Kyle Busch hanging on for it. Cleared that car. Who's now behind him in turns 1 and 2. And Kyle Busch running down Tony Stewart in the 33. He's not done yet. Power slide into 3 and 4. Busch walking up the track, barely kept it off the wall. 2 laps to go at the line. Busch digging through 1 and 2. Oh my gosh. This thing is snappy all of a sudden. Kyle Busch is trying to drive out of it. Into 3 and 4. They're going to have 1 more lap this time by. Trying to force Kyle Busch into a mistake. Look at the drive off by Busch that time on Stewart. Final lap. Now Busch trying to get a last lap pass for the win on Tony Stewart, like Stewart did at Watkins Glen. Busch gets a little loose though through 1 and 2. He's trying to hang on to the race car. One car has blown an engine down at the bottom of the track. Busch is sideways. He's in the wall again. He's got one more chance to try to get to Tony Stewart. And I think that mistake off turn 2 is going to be enough to cost him. And Tony Stewart is going to hold on to win at Darlington. And Kyle Busch holds on to his race car to at least bring it home at second. That's amazing how that car went away from him. Just like it did towards the end of that second tire stint of the race prior to the final pit stop. Stewart has won back-to-back. We'll go through the finishing results. 87 laps led for Kyle Busch. He led the most but will not get the win. Tony Stewart in the 33 car will lead 33 laps, start third, and win. And Busch, tough break there late, but he didn't make any adjustments during that second pit stop, and I think that ultimately costed me because I kind of felt like I was going to be able to get a big enough lead, and I mean, that was the worst thing that could have happened when I lost the lead, was when I got the wall, the lap car got into the back of me and outturned me. Man. Vickers finishes in third place. Shane Neal actually fell back to fourth that final run, despite coming out of the pits right behind Tony Stewart in second. Clint Boyer ends up finishing in fifth. Quiet but solid day despite no laps led. Lane Strager sixth. Ryan Newman led 3 laps after starting second. He finishes 7th. Irvin with another top 10. Fantasy driver finishing 8th. J.J. Ely 9th. Kenny Walsh will round out the top 10. And we had a total of 30 cars finishing on the lead lap today. Not many DNF'd. Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, and then there was one driver that blew an engine at the very end. Couldn't make it to the finish. That also blew an engine. Remember, Carl Edwards led 7 laps, was leading at lap 21 when he blew a motor. So he definitely had a shot probably to compete there with Tony Stewart at the end of the race, as well as Kyle Busch, but never had a chance due to blowing that motor, and his teammate Martin also couldn't make it to the end. I don't know who that car was that blew a motor at the end. I wonder if it was Ferris. I'm just going to assume it was, but we did have 3 drivers that DNF. 2 cautions for 6 caution laps, 28 lead changes, 150.7 miles per hour is the average race speed, 1 hour 19 minutes in the first race today. Margin of victory, 0.2 of a second. Well, we'll keep the top 10 streak rolling. Another top 5 for Kyle Busch. And I believe that is 4 straight top 5s. Yeah, our worst finish was the season opener at Daytona when we finished 7th. So we're on a good roll here. We're probably going to have races like that throughout the course of the season, so I'm not too worried about it. Sean Derryman, thanks for tuning into the stream, by the way. See you in the chat there late. So Busch obviously extends his points lead over Brian Vickers, but Stewart also closes that gap down a bit as well with the win. Top 4 still within 100 points yet, and they're the only 4 drivers within 1 race worth of points. Going to update the point standings at the top of the screen before we get into the second race tonight, which will be at Michigan, so don't go anywhere. It'll be right here on the stream. Trying to make this as quick as I possibly can. Yeah, Edwards was 5th in points, 127 now. Now he's no longer 5th. Irvin moves up a spot with another top 10. Crocker didn't have a good race, but with Edwards' mechanical issue, she'll move up to 6th in points. Edwards falls 5 spots from 5th to 10th in the standings now. All the Cup regulars that have ran in Busch Series races this season have ran in every race. Alright, so I do have the points at the top of the screen ready to go now. I have to set the color to black though because we're going into a day race next. Which again will be taking place at Michigan. About to get qualifying underway at MIS, and you guys will get to see it. No practice for this race, though, like at Darlington. Wade Selinsky, thanks for tuning into the stream. Hopefully you get better soon. Hopefully everything goes well also for you, Derek. I saw you in the chat talking about the hurricane.
Hello, race fans. EA Sports welcomes you to the Michigan 250 for the NASCAR Busch Series at the Michigan International Speedway.
Definitely no stranger to it, that's for certain. Alright, so this is what we're going to go with. Kind of swinging for the fences setup-wise for qualifying. Upset it didn't save for one season to the next, but that's alright. We'll try to find our way through it. At least we have a better idea of what the tracks race like. There's some setups I want to throw out anyway at certain tracks like California, Dover, and Charlotte as well. Although Dover I kind of got it figured out in the Busch Series. Not so much in the Truck or Cup, though. 2 laps. Tried to set the quick time under the 2005 qualifying format for the NASCAR Busch Series. Ooh, man, a little too tight in turns 3 and 4. Didn't want to go that far wide. I have to take the wedge out of it. It's alright. That was just a warm-up lap. This is the first lap that counts for Kyle Busch. Try to back the corners up maybe a little bit more. Car's feeling a little planted to the ground. Busch going to have to pick the pace up, though, quite a bit on lap 2 if he's going to want any sort of a shot at the pole or even a good qualifying spot. Sitting mid-pack right now off turn 4, trying to go as low as he can off the exit of the corner. Not going to use the apron this time. 39.528 on lap 1, and that was for 17th. He's definitely going to have to pick the pace up here on lap number 2, though. Seemed like he was a little better through 1 and 2. Hopefully he's got the straightaway speed in it. Keeps the car a little bit straighter off the exit of the corner this time. And as he works his way into 3 and 4. Busch goes up the track again, so he's really struggling in turn 3. Gonna have to take a little bit of wedge out of the race car. And I don't know that this lap is going to be a whole lot quicker than lap number 1. It'll be a little bit quicker. 39.509, and that'll be 16th, so just gained 1 spot from the first lap to the second. So Kyle Busch going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to want to keep that top 10 streak alive heading into this race at Michigan. Going to take the full round of wedge out of the car. I'll keep the air pressure where it's at, and I'll just keep the downforce where it's at for right now. So hopefully taking that round of wedge out of it will loosen it up just a bit. Ryan Newman on the pole for the second time. I'm going to pause it for a quick second and update the top of the screen again. Because now Ryan Newman gets his second pole of the Busch Series season. Already. So green flag in the air. We are underway at Michigan. And Kyle Busch starting fairly deep in the field. 16th. First time he's qualified outside the top 10 for a race this season. Quickly going to file himself down to the bottom of the racetrack. Not a bad restart by any means for Kyle Busch. And look at them fanning out on the back straightaway now as they're already 3x3 towards the front of the field. Elliott Sadler in the 90. Down on the bottom, Kyle Busch trying to get a draft off him. Taking that wedge out of the car. Busch had a little bit of turn in it, even in dirty air that time, so that's good. Returns 3 and 4. A lot of side drafting going on the front stretch. Ooh, little contact. Nothing major there. And Kyle Busch gains 3 spots on the opening lap of the race. Jeremy Mayfield in the 79 right in front of him. I don't even know who led lap 1. The 119 car's up there. I don't know if Newman may have led the lap. Oh, contact with Mayfield. A little stack up in the middle of the corner. Surprised that didn't cause a big wreck. Right in the middle of the pack. Busch lost a position on the back straightaway as a result. 3 wide just inside the top 10 now. Take some laps for these guys to get separated. Busch in the share draft, the 113 car now. Trying to close that gap through turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch looking for a way. Get around the 113 car. 113 tried to throw a block. Looks like Tony Range is in the 33 car, so Tony Stewart not in this race after winning back-to-back races coming in. Fairly interesting. Jeremy Mayfield getting a big run in the draft, but so is Kyle Busch in line behind Mayfield as well. 196 miles an hour in these Busch Series cars headed for turn 1. Busch to the inside of Mayfield. Mayfield tried to close the door, couldn't do it. There's contact between the 2 cars. Mayfield's up into the wall, so is Busch. Costly for both drivers. Kyle Busch a little too fast. The draft with Mayfield now in the straightaways again. Trying to go for too much too early on a fast racetrack. Luckily didn't bite him any more than it already did. Kyle down on the bottom of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. Trying to get back around the 79 car. He clears him with a clean pass that time in turns 1 and 2. Ryan Newman to the lead. 3 wide into turn 3 just up ahead. Racing each other hard enough. Kyle Busch is starting to close in a bit. Just ran his fastest lap, 39.221. It's only lap 5 though. Easy 2-stop race today. Little contact up there between a couple cars. Oh, Busch got tight again. And again got up into the wall. He's going to have to figure out why his car is as tight as it is. Even in clean air. It's on both ends of the track, too. Qualifying, it seemed like it was just 3 and 4. Clint Boyer now did the lead at the front of the field. Daddy Blur, thanks for tuning in also. Watching from England. Well, greetings. Kyle Busch drafting with the 64 car in the tri-oval. Intentions of trying to pass him this time in 1 and 2. 64 down on the bottom as well. Kenny Wallace also in the lead. And Busch down low looking for a spot. And he'll take it away up to 10th. Got the 139 car up ahead of him with Peterson. 39.154 that last lap for Kyle Busch, his fastest of the race. Gotta be careful clipping that apron. He touched in turns 1 and 2. Nothing major happened to him. I think he's okay for now doing that just because he does have fresher tires. As the run carries on, I wouldn't want to do that anymore. Even early in the run, I don't know if you would want to do that too much. The track's not as flat as and as leveled out as, say, Auto Club. Remember, Busch qualified 16th, though, and in just 9 laps, he's already moved himself up to 9th. And off that second-place finish at Darlington in the first race of the doubleheader, he gets up into the 83, he was up into the wall. Yikes. Caution off turn 2. Further back in the field. I don't know if that had anything to do with the 83, and if it did, sorry about that. Tough to tell for sure. It looked to be further back in the pack. Have to wait and see another angle of the replay. This wasn't a good one either. There's the 83. I don't think that really had much to do with it. Caution's out, though, for the first time today. Might have caused a stack up on the outside. I don't think it was the 83, though, that wrecked. So Bowyer leads under the caution. He was barely ahead of Kenny Wallace in the 22 car, so he'll lead on the restart. Everybody stays out of the pits with the early yellow, and the green flag is back in the air once again. Lap 14 on the restart. Kyle Busch did not take off well in that restart like he did on the initial start earlier today. Oh man, they stacked up big time off turn 2 behind Busch. Busch lost a spot in the restart. He holds on in front of the 19 of Bobby Labonte. Looking low off turn 4. Trying to side draft the car that got around him initially on the restart, try to get back around him. Bowyer about to lose the lead as he's on the outside lane in 1 and 2 with a car underneath him. '64 back in front of Kyle Busch once again, and it's Kenny Wallace in the 22, by the way, who gets around Bowyer. Busch with a run again. Under the apron in the tri-oval, 39.434. Trying to take a little bit of a shortcut that time. Allowed him to get underneath that car who was on his outside slightly. Moves up the track just a bit. Nearly making contact. They're still door-to-door off of turn 2. Bobby Labonte on the bottom, right behind Busch. He's going to maybe try to take it 3 wide. But Busch shuts the door on Labonte in the 19 car to hang on to his spot and also get around the 64 simultaneously. Aggressive move by Kyle Busch paid off that time and didn't lose too much momentum in the process. Now he'll throw a block in the tri-oval as well. Trying to hang on to 8th place, inside then out. Bowyer back in the lead again, getting around Kenny Wallace the last lap. Packed more spaced apart though off this restart compared to what they were on the initial start of the race. Busch right in line on the 119. Drafting with him on the back straightaway. Closing in on some other cars a little bit further up ahead. Busch looking low off turn 4. On the inside of the 119. Side draft going on. Get a little bit of extra draft off the 139 corner panel, and there was no contact between the two cars. Busch definitely wiggled up the track and got into the wall. I don't think he would have done that. And upside down in the grass as well in turns 1 and 2. Might have some cars pit this time at lap 20. Oh, nobody pits, but Kyle Busch will. This is going to be interesting. Might as well take 4 tires and fuel if you're Kyle Busch and top off, but caution 2 at lap 20, and Busch is the only one to come into the pits. Think we're back. It shouldn't be lagging anymore. I don't know why there was such a bad lag there for a little bit. Sorry for that.
Nobody else decided to come in.
So, sorry for the lag, but we are under caution for the second time today. The 108 car had flipped after an accident. Looked like he got hooked going into turns 1 and 2. Went up into the outside wall, came back down the track, but was upside down. Unfortunately, you guys might have missed that during the bad lag. I'm sorry for that. But we are back to racing once again. 2 and 3 wide towards the back of the pack on the restart. I could see up ahead. Kyle Busch pitted during the caution. Didn't make any adjustments, but unfortunately nobody else pit with Kyle Busch. So with that being said, unfortunately, Busch is going to have to get back through these spots the hard way. He does have fresher tires than the rest of the field, so that's good. Christopher Jimenez, thanks for tuning in. Four wide, nearly off the exit of the corner up ahead. One car in the wall, they're wrecking! Off the exit of the corner, Busch splits the middle and gets around everybody. Caution's out again for the third time. Oh my goodness, 3 wide. Truex got squeezed into the wall. Mayfield goes around hard. Backing into traffic. Kyle Busch never lifted and got through the hole. Dangers of being at the back of the pack after he just pitted. Busch slid through there. Wow. Wild moment at Michigan. Our third yellow already. We'll see if the field pits again. And they will. Kyle Busch pitted, so he's going to stay out, and Busch is going to be the leader.
Watch those cars behind you.
What a strategy call from Kyle Busch, losing the track position, gets a quick yellow a couple laps after the restart, misses the wreck, and now he's back in the lead. Actually in the lead for the first time today. Green flag back in the air. 5 bonus points for Busch taking the lead through all that. What a wreck avoidance, and now he's out in front with a little less than 100 laps to go at Michigan. And trying to block Kenny Wallace on the restart. Sadler going to the outside of Wallace in the middle of 1 and 2. Trying to get to the lead as well. Oh. Little mistake there off the exit of turn 2. That's going to give the cars behind him a lot bigger of a run. Busch going to the bottom more to try to stay in front of Kenny Wallace. Kyle Busch holding on to the lead at Michigan. A lot of 3 wide racing going on behind him again. First green flag lap of the day led for Busch. Staying out. Pitted during the first caution. Caution came out a few laps after the restart. Stayed out. Now he's in the lead. It should be just a one-stopper to the end of the race for everybody else. Yep, it is Elliott Sadler in the 90. Nobody's able to break away on these restarts, though. I will say that much. This is getting wild. Kyle Busch just trying to hang on for dear life. It's like pack racing at Michigan. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome into the stream as well. Bobby Labonte going 3 wide. Under Sadler and Boyer. For second. Busch trying to just block all over the place, top to bottom, on the straightaways. 2 to 3 lap older tires not going to make a difference here at Michigan. Good strategy called by Busch to get to the lead. A lot of battling going on behind him. 3 wide again off the exit of turn 2. Boyer almost squeezed into the wall by Kenny Wallace and Bobby Labonte underneath him. That's how that wreck in the middle of the pack happened earlier. The only difference with this track versus Daytona and Talladega is they're having to lift in the corners just a bit. Especially in dirty air. The 138, he clipped the apron and then got into Busch, and Busch held on to it. What a drive by Kyle Busch to at least hang on to that race car despite the contact in the middle of the corner. Got up into the wall slightly and falls back to 10th. That 138 car clipped the apron going into the corner trying to get underneath Busch as he drove it in a little too deep, and that gave actually Elliott Sadler the lead. The 138 lost some time because of the contact as well, and Busch trying to get back into it. That was not Kyle Busch's fault by any means. A little too aggressive by the rookie fantasy driver. A little inexperienced racing up at the front with a lot of these Cup regulars right now. It definitely costed him. Boyer back into the lead as well. 3 wide for second. Wallace. Squeeze play on the 138 and the 90. We'll check up off turn 4. Something happened up there. Busch on the inside of Newman now. Well, contact stalled each other out though. Vickers making some moves as well, as Mark DeMars mentioned. Busch will get around Newman for 9th. Busch to the inside of Labonte, who's lost a lot of spots as well. Battling for second moments ago. Vickers with the little block on Tony Raines in the 33. Busch trying to back up the corner a little bit. Knew he was carrying a lot of speed in the draft behind Raines. Busch with a run back straightaway. His teammate trying to throw a block on Brian Vickers, and Vickers does successfully. He tries to cross Tony Raines over in 3 and 4. Kyle Busch on the inside of Vickers. Potentially can keep the speed up though. Doesn't have as much help in the draft. So Busch going to share draft behind Vickers on the front stretch. Busch not going to look to make a move on Brian Vickers this time. Boyer looking to make a move, though, on John Hamilton in the 120. They're door-to-door into turns 3 and 4. Kyle Busch gets underneath Vickers. 3 wide. Fastest lap of the day for Kyle Busch, 39.092. Dives to the inside of John Hamilton for position. Slides up in front of him, clear off turn 2. Contact up by the leaders. I think Kenny Wallace and Clint Boyer might have gotten a piece of each other. They hang on to it. And Wallace is still going for the lead as he kept his speed up. Side by side, Vickers potentially looking to the inside of the 2 of Boyer as well, and Busch is going to go with him. Trying to help him in the draft. 39.036, fastest lap of the day now for Kyle Busch. Busch on the inside of Clint Boyer. Vickers going way down low, trying to block. Busch stays with the 57. Oh, almost contact. Between Vickers and Wallace, they checked each other up. Busch is going to go 3 wide for the lead. At the bottom, there's contact. Oh, Busch hangs on and he's in the lead. Vickers may have gotten up into the wall. Boyer actually going to get around everybody. That stacked the field up. No caution, though. We stay green, and Busch trying to stay in the draft with Boyer and not lose too much time here. There was near contact, and then there was contact. One car is slow, making his way into the pits right now. Big Jimmy Johnson, thanks for tuning in. Where's Kevin Conway? He's not in this race. This was a little before his time. .40 laps complete at Michigan. 3 cautions so far. Clint Boyer leading once again. Pretty solid season in our first season in this series. Now he's just trying to block Kyle Busch and hang on to the lead. Busch can't get around him, though. Oh, well, that's one way to get around him. Little intimidation. Didn't quite work, though. Boyer still got the run up off the exit of the corner. Boyer a little loose again. The hands of Kyle Busch. Busch not clear yet. Now he is down the back straightaway. Kyle Busch leads at Michigan, forcing Clint Boyer into a mistake where Boyer was repeatedly getting loose. Hope Vickers doesn't get payback on me. Isn't that classic Kyle Busch, though? In his young days, just going for it. Causing some stirrups. Even at a fast track like Michigan. Clint Boyer on the inside, looking for the lead. Busch trying to side draft and pinch him. Clint Boyer back out in front as he's clear at the start-finish line. Busch trying to get back to the 2. A little tight in the dirty air that time. He'll draft behind Boyer on the back straightaway for the moment. Pulls out of line into turns 3 and 4. 5 on the inside of the 2. Side by side for the lead. Off the exit of the corner, drag race. Busch didn't get too aggressive at the side draft that time on the 2 of Boyer. That 138 car's coming in hot. He's got to run, trying to close in on this battle for the lead. Everybody's starting to get bunched back up again with Busch and Boyer going back and forth. That's not why I was trying to do it. It was just a coincidental thing. That's why I said it. High Speed Racing League, thanks for tuning in. Well, this is from 2005, so this game's from 2005, so that's why the graphics aren't as up to date. Contact between Boyer and Kyle Busch that time. Too aggressive with the side draft was Kyle Busch. But this game is fun, yes. It's a good game. 138 car going back to the bottom. Contact as he kind of squeezed Busch. Busch came down a bit, but 138 was committed to not giving Kyle Busch much room there. And now he's trying to go for the lead on the 2 of Clint Boyer. Side by side for the lead. Turns 1 and 2. I don't know that these guys are going to make it the way they're racing at this fast track. The other car, by the way, is blowing an engine at the back of the field and is on pit road. 138 trying to get to the lead again. Contact between Busch and the 138 car. They hang on to it. I don't know how. They're still side by side. Oh my gosh. I think these guys got to calm down just a little bit. Busch included. Try to gather themselves back up again. 138 car out in the lead. Busch scrapes the wall off turn 2. Clint Boyer underneath him. And Boyer trying to take over second place into turns 3 and 4. Busch in the wall and he can't get off of it. He's going to lose more spots. Chase Elliott was my champion pick before the season started, so yeah, I'm definitely not changing. I've gotten a lot of people asking me, especially since the playoffs started. Despite his struggles in the playoffs, I'm not changing it. Lap 50, still 76 laps to go. They're still going at it for the lead. It doesn't matter who the leader is, they cannot hang on. The 138 and the 2 are going back and forth at it. Busch in the wall again. You can get away with it from time to time at Darlington, still reeling a second place finish. You don't want to be doing that though at Michigan, like he has been doing in these last handful of laps. Ryan Newman up to 6th, getting around the 135. Carrying decent speed on the back straightaway, trying to get underneath the 5 of Kyle Busch as well, but Busch hangs on, and Newman going to get tight in the dirty air. Again, it is still a one-stop race to the finish. As long as these teams get within 50 laps to go, they'll be able to make it to the end of the race. Busch on the apron to block the 135, who also kind of clipped the apron on corner entry. Both cars held onto it pretty well all the way through the corner. So a lot of black marks on the outside of the track off turn 2 against the wall. Not all of it's Kyle Busch. A lot of it actually is from that big accident we saw prior to the last restart. Jeremy Mayfield got turned. There were 3 wide trucks, got squeezed into the wall on the outside. Kind of sparked all that. Busch pretty consistently a second and a half off the lead. He's not really able to close that gap down quite a bit. And the 138 car setting pace right now. It's impossible we could see a fantasy driver pull off a major upset at a non-super speedway here today at Michigan. He's pretty much pulling everybody because it seems like Kyle Busch and this 135 car is slowly closing in on the 3 cars that are just in front of them for position. Especially with them battling for third as aggressively as they have. Still about 9 laps away from the halfway mark. Sadler trying to go for second. Closes on Boyer, can't quite get alongside of him that time. Maybe he thinks he's got something for the 138 car. And gone for an hour, what have you missed? Well, you missed the end of the Darlington race. Tony Stewart won that. And we've had 3 cautions in this race so far. We had 2 in the race at Darlington total. Had a flip at lap 20 from the 108 car. And then we had a big wreck a couple laps after the restart. Back of the pack, Kyle Busch split the middle. Busch was at the back because he had pitted during that second caution where the 108 had flipped. But then he made it through the wreck, and then everybody else pitted during the second caution. So Kyle Busch was able to stay out and actually take the lead for the first time. So he's led laps off and on. I don't know that he's got the fastest car, and honestly, on the long run, this 138 car might have the fastest car in the field because he is running away with it right now. Sadler still can't get around the 2 car of Clint Boyer. Busch blocking the 135. Elliott Sadler going to move up to second. Boyer's still stuck on the outside. John Hamilton may move into third. .135's got to run on the inside. Kyle Busch will stay wide into turns 3 and 4. And let that car get underneath him. And the 135 going to complete the pass off of turn number 4. And it is a clean one at that. Kyle Busch is going to kind of draft in line behind him. And to definitely get within 50 laps to go if these guys are going to make it on one stop. Kyle Busch has about 2 to 3 less laps of fuel in his car versus everybody else in front of him. And that is worth noting. Kyle Busch on the inside of the 135. Middle of turns 3 and 4. A bit loose. Kind of clipped the apron just a hair there, and that's why he got as loose as he did. 135 car was also pinching him and trying to force him into that mistake at the same time. Boyer with a slide job as he gets back around Elliott Sadler for position. Contact between Sadler and Boyer, middle of the corner up there, and Busch got a little loose on corner entry into turns 3 and 4. Two cars out of the race with engine failure so far. Not sure if anybody DNF'd in the first 3 cautions so far today or not. Busch trying to stay with this 135 car again, right in front of him. Picking up a little bit of time on the back straightaway. Sadler and Boyer still side by side for second again. Busch on the inside of the 135. 135 car, though, side drafting him. It's going to slow both cars up just a little bit. And he powers back by Busch again. Bowyer going to fall back to third, actually fourth place. John Hamilton in turns 1 and 2, going to get around Clint Bowyer. Sadler moves a bit wide. The 120 trying to get underneath Elliott Sadler now as well. I don't think Kyle Busch has the speed to get around the 135 on his own. At least later in this run. .135 and the 5, though, gaining a lot of time on the back straightaway. Drafting well, and the 135 probably close enough to draft behind John Hamilton also. Busch to the inside of the 135 car in the back, rather the front stretch. Again, can't make the pass. That 135's getting the extra draft help as they're close enough to the cars in front of him, though, as well. 138's still pulling away with this one. Quarter tank of gas left for Busch. And by the way, we are officially halfway home in today's race. So with that being said, I'll pause it real quick. We'll go through and I'll find a trivia question for you guys tonight. We'll go into Racing Reference for Michigan and try to find a Michigan track fact for tonight's trivia question on the stream. There we go. We'll keep it kind of simple because we're on pace to potentially having the most lead changes in a Michigan race in NASCAR Xfinity Series history. So, with that being said, in what year did the NASCAR Xfinity Series have the most lead changes in an Xfinity race at Michigan? That is tonight's trivia question on the channel. What year did the Xfinity Series have the most lead changes in an Xfinity race at Michigan? Let's see if anybody could get it correct. Push down to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Making a little contact, though, with the 135. I don't think that helped him too much. It definitely allowed for Busch to make the pass on the 135, and a great job by the 135 staying off the wall. 3 wide for second place still through 3 and 4. Sadler going to the bottom, 3 wide under John Hamilton and Clint Bowyer. Bowyer gets cleared by everybody. As these guys are racing, it might allow Kyle Busch to stay with them. Despite losing a bit of ground in the corner before that. Right rear tire starting to really wear out on the 5 of Busch. It is now 2010. Again, the trivia question, what year did the Xfinity Series have the most lead changes in a Michigan race in Xfinity Series history? I'll give you guys to lap 70, start of lap 70 to get the trivia question correct. What was a 3-car battle for positions, now a 4-car battle for second. It's not 08, not 2010, not 2015, not 2009. Not 2011, not 2017. Hamilton blocking Busch back straightaway, not 2006, not 2018, not 2005, not 2021. Somebody's going to get it eventually. Who's going to get it first? Not 2022. Busch slips up a little bit, 3 and 4. Not 17, not 09. Not 98, not 04. Stealing my answers. Sadler, Bowyer side by side. Hamilton with a run down on the inside lane. John Hamilton going to try to take it 3 wide for second place in the middle of the corner. What a move by John Hamilton. He's going to be all clear for second. John Hamilton up to second place. Kyle Busch side by side with Clint Bowyer trying to side draft the 2. Looks like he's going to be able to do so. And Bowyer now up to 4th. Big block by Elliott Sadler on John Hamilton. Not 2095 or 91. Bowyer may get to the inside of Kyle Busch again. I believe he just has. 2030, not 01. Not 87. Oh, I did see it. 2002, Nathan Elliott. Nathan Elliott has gotten the trivia question correct. A lot of guesses there. It was a track, but I did see it. Nathan Elliott got the question correct. 2002 was the year Michael Waltrip won the race. And the then Busch Series at Michigan. 21 lead changes is the most in a Michigan race in NASCAR Xfinity Series history. Shot to break that today for a track record. Kyle Busch with a run, going to go 3 wide to the bottom for 3rd place. Turns 3 and 4. Almost making contact with Bowyer, trying to side draft him as much as he can. He's getting a little drafting help from Elliott Sadler in second. Both rear tires wearing out on the 5 right now, and Kyle Busch is going to be clear of Clint Bowyer for 3rd place. He's trying to rally himself back up here. Oh, Michael Turner said 2002? Well, congrats to Michael Turner for getting it. You guys are going pretty quick there. I couldn't keep up with you in the comments section. Sorry about that. Well, congrats to Michael Turner for getting the question correct first time. Able to save just a bit of gas in the draft as well. Busch looking to the inside of Sadler. Not going to be able to get around him, but they're door to door. Look at how low Sadler pitches Busch off the exit of turn 2. Got to be getting close to green flag stops. Bowyer to the inside of John Hamilton for 4th again. 54 laps to go. Windows open in about 4 more laps. Bowyer and Hamilton slowed each other down quite a bit that time. Busch going way up the track. He's in the wall. Into the wall goes Kyle Busch. Trying to run this fuel tank out as much as he possibly can. He's going to try to get to lap 74 before pitting. Pitting during that second caution rather than the 3rd caution could be the difference in Busch maybe not being able to make it on fuel to the end of the race. He's got to stretch it. Busch is going to be a lot closer to the end on fuel based off of where the cautions played out earlier than anybody else. Bowyer with the low dive. And he's pitting. Bowyer gonna pit. And there are some other cars in the top 10 going with him. And throughout the field, really. So it is going to be a fuel mileage race today at Michigan. Not something that we are not used to seeing, I guess. We've seen these races play out at this track before. It's going to be a 4-tire stop for Kyle Busch. Oh, he's going to be on the outside, though. John Hamilton gets by. Busch just able to get down into the pits and does not speed. John Hamilton was looking to the inside of Kyle Busch. Busch went up a lot wider than what he wanted to before making his way into the pits. But he does make his way in. Again, a 4-tire stop for Kyle Busch. Almost missed the pit lane. Didn't want to wreck John Hamilton in the process of trying to pit. That would have not been great. Well, here we go. Hit that like button, by the way. For those of you watching, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. We've got green flag pit stops going on. The 138 car is still out on the racetrack, by the way. Quite a few cars that are still on the racetrack. The 35 car looking to the inside. Nice to have fresher tires again for Kyle Busch's sake. 135 almost got into him. Getting Busch maybe a little bit aero loose. Kyle trying to block him down to the inside. The longer the rest of the leaders stay out, the more of a shot they're going to have of making it on fuel to the end of the race. Kyle Busch is going to have to stretch this run 51 laps at Michigan on fuel in a Busch Series car if he is going to make it to the end. 138 is pitting now, but it's with 49 to go, so he is looking a couple laps better on fuel than even Kyle Busch. Busch back on the lead lap if the caution were to come out right now. Had 3 cautions today. This is the longest green flag run of the race so far. The pressure is on now to try to make up as much time as possible and get yourself in contention to win. Don't know that Kyle Busch has the car. To be able to get up here on normal speed. Kenny Wallace coming into the pits. He'll surrender the lead. A lot of the other cars who haven't pit yet going with him. I think the 138 car is cycling out side by side with another car at the front of the field. Not sure if it's Elliott Sadler or another car of some sort. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Kenny Wallace. So Kyle Busch is going to cycle into 5th place. So Busch in 5th right now. Clint Boyer is the race leader, followed by the driver in the 138 car. And then Elliott Sadler and John Hamilton running 3rd and 4th, Busch in 5th. A lot better opportunity in this race to have another new winner than that first race at Darlington earlier. Where the top 4 were all the drivers who had won in the first 4 races of the season. Stewart not even racing in this race today. Tony Raines is in that 33 car despite Stewart being third in points, only 72 out at first through the first 5 races, and obviously winning back-to-back races. They decided to go with Raines to drive that car today anyway. Have to imagine that 138 car is going to be able to make it on fuel. I don't think Kyle Busch has the car to get up there and try to contest with anybody for position. He's just trying to manage his own speed really in 5th. Go from there. Still have 2 more field passes, though, with Brian Vickers into 57. I'm not sure where he's at in the field. We haven't really seen him up towards the front a whole lot in today's race. Comment in the chat down below, do you think Kyle Busch is going to make it on field to the end of the race? Having to go 51 laps at Michigan. Obviously not having any drafting help right now isn't going to help him either. He ran a 39.193 that last lap. He's doing anything he can right now to try to pick up time. And Clint Boyer's pulling away from the 138. The 138 car had a lot of long-run speed, but Clint Boyer having the short-run speed right now, trying to pull away and get his first win in the Busch Series season on the custom schedule season. Billy Kramer just flat out says no. He has no faith. No, I don't know. I really have no clue. 51 laps is an awfully long time to go. 39.114. I mean, Busch is running some good laps, but really going to need those cars to battle for position up ahead. It's how he was able to close in before, though. So it's not impossible. At least in the battle for second. Clint Boyer pitted a lap before Kyle Busch, so that's probably another reason why he had cycled to the lead. Because there's a lap before Busch, which would have been about 4 laps before the 138. So if Busch can't make it, we know Clint Boyer definitely won't be able to make it. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up pitting. Back to the far chase cam for right now. You just wonder, though, does Kyle Busch have anything to get to second? Hope he can make it on fuel, and simultaneously hope that Clint Boyer can't make it on fuel. 3 wide for second place, by the way, in turns 1 and 2. They're definitely racing hard. They know Boyer might be short. Boyer's going to have to go 52 laps. The 138 car was the last of these leaders to pit that are all in the top 5. Pitted with 49 laps left, so he's only got about 48 laps he needs to go on fuel to make it to the end. The pit stop has to be made by Kyle Busch. It's definitely going to be a gas and go and a splash and go only stop. Close to the bottom, he's trying to run in the middle of the corners. He's doing everything he can right now to try to get this car in position to have a shot to win this race under the right circumstances. Busch is running some good laps, though. I will give him that. He's pulling away from the cars behind him. Maybe the 138 car might be trying to save a little bit. Maybe not on fuel necessarily, but knowing that these other drivers might be short to the end. At least he's got nothing to lose. Either that or he's just falling off because he went the wrong way with adjustments. But the fact that he was dominating most of the day until that last set of pit stops and now is back at fourth. Obviously lost a little bit of time staying out a bit longer than everybody else as well. Kyle Busch hooking that white line right in the middle of the corner. If he can get to him in the draft, though, he's definitely going to work with him. I don't think he's going to really try to pass him right away. Need Dallas defense to come through, fantasy. I need Ezekiel Elliott to score 22 points tonight if I'm going to win. Otherwise, I go 0-3, so hopefully he gets a big game going for him. Been sluggish to start the year. I actually scored a lot of points this week, too. I only lost week 1 because Prescott got hurt and he scored me 3 points. And Matty Ice only scored 3 last week. As my backup in place of Dak. Dak's out again this week. Matt Ryan did a little bit better this week. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, that last time for Kyle Busch. 39.961. So he's running some good laps. And he's going to try to save gas in the draft right now behind this 138 car for the time being. He's not looking to make a pass on him currently. To just draft behind him for the moment. .8 seconds off the lead. As long as nobody else further behind starts to really close that gap at least. Well, never mind. He got into the 138. And that's going to be a pass for fourth. Busch all clear. I mean, I guess that's a car Busch is going to have to beat that we know can make it on field to the end. And he just wasn't running the same pace he was earlier, so Busch is just going to pass him and try to pull away from him. Can't blame him for it. We'll go to Brian Vickers in the 57 car for right now. For the first time today, Vickers in 14th, in danger of not getting a top 10 finish, as he's done so many times at the start of the season. Not sure if he can make it on fuel or not. I'm not sure what lap he pitted. Ryan Newman's really fallen back after qualifying on the pole as well in 13th. Following a good run at Darlington. And now in the top 10 in points as well. Edwards had an engine failure in that race, plus he gained some spots with his good finish as well. Trying to get underneath J.J. Yaley. We don't even know if this race is going to stay green all the way to the end either. Vickers about 10 seconds off the lead. Still 31 laps to go. 38.836 that last lap for Vickers. In the draft behind Ryan Newman and J.J. Yaley. Vickers under the 135 will make a pass for position there. 3 wide for a brief moment underneath the 39 of Ryan Newman. A little bit of contact there also. Vickers holds on. He's going to get by Newman for 12th. Vickers now looking to the inside of J.J. Yaley. We'll go back to Kyle Busch for the time being. Middle of the corner, Busch is really driving away from the 138 car. We'll take back over with Kyle Busch. With 30 laps to go, still one more field pass left in the race. Kyle Busch may have the speed to get to John Hamilton in the 120 car yet. I don't think he's got enough to catch Elliott Sadler and Clint Boyer, but maybe the hope is that those two won't make it. We know Boyer is a lap shorter likely than Busch, assuming Busch is shy on fuel. We're about to find out here in a couple laps exactly where Kyle Busch looks to be on fuel. Boyer probably going to have to deal with lap traffic before the end of this race as well, potentially. That could allow him to save a little bit more gas. Oh, wow, you're okay. Well, you're off to a better start than me. 2-0. Well, I guess for both of our luck, hopefully Dallas just dismantles New York. We're down to 27 laps to go. Kyle Busch might be able to make it. Again, it's going to be close. But I think there's a chance Kyle Busch might be able to make it on fuel to the end. 39.063 that last lap. 26 laps to go at Michigan. And a fuel mileage race in the second race of our doubleheader tonight. We'll be coming for 25 laps to go. Busch had to go 51 laps at a full tank. About to go 26 laps. Oh boy, halfway on fuel right now, and he's just coming to get 25 to go. He might be about a quarter of a lap to the good on fuel, and that's going to be about it right now for Kyle Busch. Problem is, he has to run hard. He can't save because he's still in fourth. Slowly, lap after lap, closing in on John Hamilton. Boyer a lap shorter, though, than Busch, and if Busch is only about a quarter of a lap to the good, I don't know that Boyer can make it. It looks like Elliott Sadler catching a lap car up ahead. Thought it was Clint Boyer for a second, but then I looked at the interval between us and Boyer's still pulling away. So Boyer's definitely not saving fuel. He's trying to build up as much of a gap as possible first. Sadler's still trying to get around the lapper. It's on his inside. I think it might be the 117 car he's trying to pass. Just with a little shortcut down to the apron again through the tri-oval there. Probably not going to do that too many more times. Just want to wear these tires out. It's going to be the longest he's gone laps-wise on tires all day today, too. He was getting a little loose towards the end of the run. Who would have thought this race was going to go great after we had 3 cautions in the first 25 laps that put ourselves in this fuel mileage situation today at Michigan. Any one of these top 5 drivers can win this race. And there's a couple cars that seem to be closing in on Kyle Busch a little bit further behind as well, as Busch's pace is not what it was at one point during this run. And can any of them make it on fuel? We know the 138 car can make it on fuel to the end. He might be one of the cars a little bit further back. I don't know. We'll see. We'll take our second and final field pass of the race. We'll drive as Brian Vickers in the 57 car for a few more laps. 2 more to be exact, as he sits in 11th right now. 11.1 seconds off the lead, so he's losing time from Bowyer as well at the front of the field. Vickers going to go up the track just a bit. Yaley can't quite get underneath him, though. Vickers trying to block Yaley on the bottom into 3 and 4. Clint Bowyer leads by a pretty sizable margin over Elliott Sadler in second. Kyle Busch was slowly running down John Hamilton, but he also had cars that were a little bit quicker than him trying to catch up. Could have been saving at the start of the run. Vickers just hit halfway on fuel, so he was probably one of the last cars to pit. So Brian Vickers is pacing pretty well to make it to the end. He hangs on to 11th, trying to close in on other cars in front of him yet. He's about 4.5 seconds roughly behind Busch. Hamilton's caught the lap car in the 117. And there's another car blowing an engine down on the bottom of the track, one of the fantasy drivers. It isn't one of the top 3, though, so keep ourselves going. Busch is really only getting loose off the exit of the corner right now more than anything else. Very slightly. Really needs that 117 car to race John Hamilton aggressively. That looks like it is the case because the 117's back to the inside of John Hamilton again. And Kenny Wallace in the 22 car, who was, I believe, the very last car to hit pit road, has made his way up to 5th place. So Kenny Wallace is looking pretty good to make it on field to the end. And John Hamilton's being raced very aggressively by that 117 car just up ahead. It is worth noting. I think Aaron Crocker, Bobby Labonte are the 2 cars behind Kenny Wallace, so the 138 car is really falling off a cliff here late. Hamilton gets back around the 117 again. Busch, again, still getting a little loose off the exit of the corners. Kenny Wallace in the 22 car closing the gap. They'll be coming to 16 laps to go this time by. 117 again, looking to get to John Hamilton, not quite able to. Some drafting help, though, in the straightaways with that lap car that might be helping Hamilton a little bit versus Busch. Busch 7 seconds off the lead from Bowyer now with 16 to go. But again, this is a fuel mileage race at Michigan. So it's just a test here of who can make it and who won't. On gas to the end of the race. Busch rather, almost into the wall off turn 2. He's just trying to keep his wheel as straight as possible off the exit of the corners to keep from getting overly loose. He got aero loose, though, that time from Kenny Wallace, and he has to make a great save, but he's going to lose a spot. Tough break for Kyle Busch. Got aero loose from Kenny Wallace, loses 2 spots to Wallace and Crocker. Busch in the draft behind the 6. Right in front of the 19, though, of Bobby Labonte. Labonte got him aero loose. Oh, my gosh. That is just wild how much aero plays a huge effect in this game. I mean, there was nothing Busch could have done there. He wasn't that loose without anybody behind him. He was gradually getting looser, but as badly aero loose as he got, both times he had a car close in behind him. Kenny Wallace and then Bobby Labonte. 14 to go. Busch should be fine again. Nobody directly behind him. Kyle Busch won a fuel mileage race 2013 Michigan. There you go. Oh, and NASCAR. Wait. I don't know if you're talking about the real race or on a game. 13 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car is right behind Kyle Busch. Busch trying to keep his top 10 streak alive yet. His worst finish of the year is 7th at Daytona. And that is where he's running right now, as he'll be coming to 12 laps to go this time by. Three cars out of the race at least with engine failures. Kyle Busch 9.3 seconds off the lead. 12 laps to go at the line. Just hit low fuel. Quarter of a tank left for Kyle Busch. Busch is just hoping he makes it to the end on fuel. He'll have a top 10 finish as long as he does. I don't think everybody in front of him is going to make it either, so he may still get a top 5 out of this. Still hasn't caught that 117 car. He got aero loose a couple times. The car's directly behind him. On the game, okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, I thought Greg Biffle won at I think it was Biffle won at Michigan 2013. I think that was the race Jimmy Johnson blew a motor with like 6 laps to go or something like that while leading. Johnson had a lot of bad luck at Michigan in his time. He got to win there once, but there's a lot of other races he could have won at that track. Slipped away from him, ran out of gas once. About a lap and a half to go, and then he had that engine failure one year. Biffle beat him also. Yeah, we don't know that everybody can make it in front of me. I know the 138... Well, Kenny Wallace is probably going to make it, because he pitted after the 138 car. So I think Kenny Wallace is going to be good on fuel to the end. These guys are battling each other pretty hard up there, I will say. No cautions on the final lap. Worth noting, if anybody runs out of gas and causes an accident. Trying to stretch it to the very end. Kyle Busch on the back straightaway, drafting behind the 117 car. Looks low into turns 3 and 4. Makes a clean pass. And a quick one at that. He's just really hoping that 117 car doesn't get directly in line behind him going into the corner so Busch doesn't get aero loose like he has with a couple cars directly behind him before. Don't think that's going to be the case this time because 117 actually got to the outside of Busch going into the corner, so he wasn't even really on the bottom right in line behind him. He battled John Hamilton for a couple laps, so he may battle Kyle Busch for a couple laps. Busch is too fast to just sit behind him. Oh, he is. He is trying to get Kyle Busch a little air loose. Busch slid quite a bit that time. in the middle of the corner. And the 117 crossing him over. 7 laps to go. Kyle Busch really doesn't like that, but just how loose his car is with another one behind him. He might just have to stay right behind the 117. The problem is he's so much faster in the middle of the corner than the 117 car. Plus the 117 again is right in line behind him. So Busch will pass him back and clear him again. 117 right in line behind him. Busch got aero loose on the outside. Catches the car. Truex is coming. Here comes the 8 of Martin Truex Jr. now. Second time the 117 car got Busch aero loose. Both times he passed him. Never touched him. Never had to. Both the rear tires in the yellow on the tire wear indicator for Kyle Busch. Busch wiggling off turn 2, stays in it, in the draft line, the 117 back straight away again, has a run into 3 and 4. Gets to the inside. Got around him. There's a little draft from the lap car up ahead. Maybe that'll pull Busch far enough along the straightaway that he won't have to worry about the 117 car getting close enough behind his back bumper again, which I believe is going to be the case. Going to allow Busch to pull away from Truex just a bit. And now Busch to the inside of the lapper up high. Clears him off turn 2. Coming to 4 laps to go this time by. Oh yeah, definitely looking forward towards hockey. Looking to see what the Red Wings can do without Blashill. I thought he was kind of holding the team back the last, really since he came in, if I'm being honest. Especially the last 2 to 3 years, though. Surprised he lasted as long as the head coach is what he did. So, Clint Bowyer coming to 3 laps to go this time by. He's going to stay out of the pits this time. And again, who can make it on fuel to the end of the race? Busch in 7, trying to hold on for every position he can. Truex is going to have a shot to get to him. If he gets to him, I think he's going to get around him just because of how loose Kyle Busch's car is with another car directly behind him. Busch might not even make it on fuel to the end, though. He has to go 51 laps on this run. Fuel indicator in the dark red. He's committed to trying to make it, though. Really hoping Truex doesn't get directly in line behind him. Not close enough to really get him aero loose this time as they come to 2 laps to go. Bowyer still out on the racetrack. Can Clint Bowyer make it on fuel to win? He pitted a lap before Busch. It was the first car to hit pit road. It helped him cycle to the lead. Made the right adjustments. He has pulled away. Busch in the wall off turn 2. A little too loose that time. And Martin Truex Jr. to the outside, looking for 7th place on Busch. Busch battles down to the bottom again. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Bowyer still out on the racetrack. Busch slides back in front of Truex, a little too loose again. Trying to side draft the 8 car. Final lap, Busch back to 8th. Scrape the wall a bit. Can't believe it, but Clint Bowyer is going to make it on fuel. And Bowyer is going to win at Michigan. Busch getting really loose in turns 3 and 4, just trying to hang on to the race car. He does, and Kyle Busch going to make it on fuel. Everybody's going to make it on fuel. Nobody runs out at the end. And Clint Bowyer is going to win the 2nd race of our doubleheader tonight at Michigan. Elliott Sadler 6 seconds back in 2nd. I was surprised nobody ran out. Everybody made it. Great job by everybody managing fuel there at the end of the race. all going 52 plus laps. 52 or less laps, I should say, but 67 laps led for Bowyer. He led over half the race. That's going to be a max points day for him, trying to get him back in the early season championship hunt. Elliott Sadler led 1 lap today, finishing second. Kenny Walls finishes third with 15 laps led. John Hamilton fourth. Bobby Labonte rounds out the top 5. Aaron Crocker in 6th. 7th is Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Busch 8th with 8 laps led. Tony Raines 9th, and Brian Vickers gets another top 10, rounding out the top 10 coming back late in this race. Pole sitter Ryan Newman finishing 12th. And quite a few drivers finished on the lead lap yet, 30 of them to be exact, finished on the lead lap. 3 engine failures in the race. Shields, Reed, Clayton, all fantasy drivers. 152.45 miles an hour average race speed. Again, 3 cautions for 9 laps. 22 lead changes. That breaks a Michigan Xfinity Series record by 1. The original record was in 2002 with 21 lead changes. Today we had 22, so barely breaking that. And a lot of those lead changes really were in the first half of the race. We had a very long green flag run of nearly 100 laps to end it. All 3 cautions came out in the first 25 laps of the event. 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 23 seconds total time on today's second race of the night. We'll check out the point standings. Another top 10, though, for Kyle Busch. It's his worst finish of the season, but it's 8th place. So in the first 6 races, he has gotten 6 top 10 finishes. Not too shabby for Busch. And because he beat Brian Vickers by 2 positions, he'll extend that points lead again. Next race will be Thursday night at Phoenix for the Busch Series slate. 200 lapper there for the Phoenix 200. I'll take that, yeah. Strong points night. 2nd and 8th. Led some laps in both races. Got the most laps led in the first. 53-point lead for Kyle Busch. We keep this consistency up, even with 1 win. I'm all right with it because this is a much better start to the season than last season with Dale Jr. We still won the championship there. I want to just see how many races in a row I can get top 10s in to start the season. This is going to be kind of fun to see how far I can go without a... I mean, at some point, you'd have to imagine we're going to run into some serious trouble. We just haven't done that yet. Kept our car fairly clean throughout the races. And yeah, 2 mile and up tracks seem to be the weak suit right now, I guess, for Busch. 7th and 8th in both the races, 2 mile racetracks and bigger. We still have 2 more trips to Dega and Daytona yet, so, you know, maybe that's where the streak could end. But we finished 7th at Daytona the first time, and the next 2 races there are only 100 laps rather than 120. In Talladega, we ended up finishing in 4th, so, yeah, who knows? But still 1-2 at the front of the field, top 3 within 1 race worth of points. Tony Stewart was 3rd in points, only 72 back coming in. He's 219 back in 7th. He didn't even race today, so no points for Stewart. So now he's over a race worth of points out. He's still in the top 10 after missing a race, which just goes to show how impressive of a season he's had with 2 wins this year. And Clint Bowyer got his first win. Moves up in the point standings a couple spots up to 4th. So congrats for him. He's still 186 back, but max points day 2 for Bowyer. So strong step in the right direction. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the channel. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll be Truck Series racing. Doubleheader coming your way for the Truck Series tomorrow. First race at Michigan and second race at Las Vegas. And we'll start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time again. Hope to see you then. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday night.